this topic tonight is dinosaurs. Some people believe they never existed, some people do, and I've got a lot of videos to show you, and I want you guys to be the judge after it's all over. Check it out. It's super interesting to think about why they would have put that in those paintings if they didn't know about the existence of those animals. And it just makes me think how much has been covered up.
Oh, what the gosh! Oh my gosh! What the heck?
That's pretty good advertising if you ask me. It looks like one of those little dino worlds that kind of pop up in your area, probably out advertising, and it looked like they were held up by spring. So cool video.
They done it again. They brought a dinosaur back to life through genetic modification and gene splicing therapy. Dr. Ming is the creator of this creature. She hatched it from an egg, and this is just one of the many dinosaurs she created. She named this Bob. Bob the Triceratops is a very nice creature, but it's kind of mad, as you can see. Look at it. Listen to it roar. Do you hear that? How does it roar like that? And this was just through genetic modification and gene splicing. A real dinosaur, you guys.
That is so fake, man. Did you see the legs kind of flopping around? This is the thing about going through TikTok. You find all these videos that are pretty much almost all bullcrap, and then every now and then you find some nuggets, which we'll get to here in a little bit, that are going to help us see like what's going on here with the dinosaurs. I had to do some digging on that particular video because it's a real video. It's not actually AI, but only thing that I could find was in Reddit. It talked about maybe an artist doing it out of a tree stump. And then I found some other supposedly archaeological sites that are saying that it was a legit dino found. So I don't know, man. Like, you guys be the judge of that, but there's really not a whole lot of information on that particular piece right there. It's hard for me to tell if that one's actually AI or not, but it looks like something that you might find somewhere that's kind of untouched, where reptiles live longer, maybe in the rainforest. So I don't know. It could be real, but I've definitely seen animals that are huge, and I'm sure you all have seen the videos of the alligators that are massive, huge, the Komodo dragons that are huge. So it could be a real iguana that's massive. We don't really have anything to scale the size to, so it even could be a regular size iguana just zoomed in and blurred out. That's the problem too. A lot of these creatures are very, very blurry. So that's definitely AI. I don't know if you looked at that closely, but you could see the teeth just kind of like floating in the wind, and yeah, just complete AI garbage. And people, a lot of people believed it. If you look on the comments, it's kind of sad, really. I don't know what we're looking at here. This is very interesting. I'd love to know where that actually is. So if anybody can find that and tell me where it is, I'd love to know, because it looks like it could be maybe a theme park. Maybe they dug those footprints into the ground. That's being skeptical, or it's a legitimate area where dinos reside, which I don't know if I can buy that or not. I'd have to know where it is. So let me know what you guys think. If you are an internet sleuth and you're able to go through and find locations, please let me know where that is. I don't know at all where that video came from, but it looked like a skeleton, but without being able to get in close and actually see, it could also be a bunch of stones that people put together, an artist's rendition of a dragon. They're known as the people of the dragon, so they have dragon culture really deeply embedded in their society. So it wouldn't surprise me if people built it, but at the same token, you guys know me, it wouldn't really surprise me if it was actually a real skeleton. I'd love to see it closer.
Many reports of dinosaurs still living. There could be some pterodactyls still alive. The natives call the animal the Congomato. If you're in Congo, in Kenya they call it Batamzinga. Steve Ramondi was on the Kenya Olympic running team. He called me and said, he was going to school in Louisiana. He said, Mr. Hovind, I saw those creatures. He said, we've got them in my village in Kenya. He said their favorite food is decaying human flesh. They dig up graves and eat the bodies. They kept talking about the Congomato. Well, we could cover dinosaurs still living for hours, but there have been lots of reports of pterodactyls still around. I get calls about this from people all the time, about pterodactyls being seen in Papua New Guinea or in Indonesia or in Venezuela. Wish we had time to cover all that, about all these pterodactyl sightings. Dave Wetzel went there and said, man, the natives kept talking about this flying ropin that glows in the dark over in Papua New Guinea. It lives on the island right there. So what's the point? You say, Brother Hovind, who cares? Yeah, I think there might be some dinosaurs still alive. And I think we have really been lied to about the dinosaurs. Now, I don't think there's many, and it's probably safe to go to the dorm, okay? Don't get excited and think, wow, we're going to get eaten by a dinosaur. No, it's not that way. The hallway will be clear tonight, I assure you, okay? But the Indians had a legend called the Thunderbird. They said a giant bird got hit by lightning. When they found it 3 days later, the buzzards had picked the bones clean, but they said the wingspan was 20 feet and had a bony bump on the back of its head. The Indian prayer sticks, to this day, have the head of a pterodactyl on them. Now, Henry Ford put an eagle on the taillight of his Thunderbird. It should have been a pterodactyl. You blew it, Henry. French explorers Jacques Marquette and Joliet stopped near what now is the town of St. Louis and reported they saw a big ugly bird painted on the cliff on the other side in Alton, Illinois. The Indians said, oh, that's a Piasaw bird. A great chief killed him years ago. They painted the picture up there for years. They finally put a big metal plaque. There's me down below it for scale. They took it down for fear the plaque would fall. I guess they just recently put it back up. I don't know. But if you go to Alton, Illinois, you'll see Piasaw, Piasaw Dairy Queen. It's pretty famous over there.
That guy right there is, I think they used to call him Dr. Dino, and his name's Kent Hovind. And he was phenomenal at one time, and maybe he still is. I don't really know if he's still out there or not, but that's super interesting to me. And I've got actually a couple videos of what look like possible pterodactyls. I can't tell if they're real or not. They look real to me, so let's check them out. Maybe you guys have seen them before. I want to give a shout out today to Nano Extreme Pain Cream. It's a pain cream that actually works. It actually goes through all 7 layers of your skin to get to the chronic pain very quickly. I love using it because I like to do things like jiu-jitsu, bowling, and things that at my age sometimes hurt for long periods of time, but this actually works. And so guys, I wouldn't promote it if I didn't believe in it. So there's an affiliate link in the description. You also get an $8 off coupon, or you get free shipping. So let you be the judge, let you check. Let me know what you guys think. That looked real to me. That looked like a real video, and the way the guy was running and pointing it up. I really don't know though, man. It's hard to tell nowadays, but I did see this video years ago. This isn't the first time this video cropped up, but it looked legitimate. I mean, the way it actually tilted too, to be able to see behind it. And I wouldn't even necessarily think that it might be real have I not known people who claim to have actually seen one of these in Indiana. And I don't know if it's true or not, but the guy that told me isn't like some guy that just makes up stories, but he said it looked like Mothman at first, the way its head was kind of pointed down like this. It looked like it was staring at him, and I can't think of what else it might be, but that's interesting to me. If they're still out there and you guys are out there and you can take pictures of them, do it. Take videos.
Do you believe there ever was dinosaurs?
No.
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 Even though there's fossils found?
There's not fossils found. The things they've told you are dinosaurs as an evolutionary thing. Again, it's just another. If you go into any of these
Dinosaur museums.
it's they're resin. They tell you that the bones are too fragile. They keep them in the vault, and they've created a resin structure, so you never get to see the bones. And you
only see the skeleton. You don't see the flesh anyway.
Yeah, exactly. The giant human thing throws a massive spanner in the works of the evolution nonsense. Yeah. So
what makes you believe that so much? That there's giant humans?
Because there's hard evidence of people with. I've seen a giant skull in the Natural History Museum, and I went up there. Like, there's pictures of people with footprints. I've seen enough evidence to suggest the giant human thing over dinosaurs. The Eric Dubé again did a thing about dinosaurs and showed you that the first person to discover dinosaurs was at a certain period of time, and he was the head of a certain museum, and it's all just as sus as everything else.
So I don't know exactly who that guy is and what gives him, I guess, that kind of authority to speak on dinosaurs. He did mention Eric Dubé, which I know who he is, and I would say that Eric Dubé has a lot of good work. But I don't know what I believe about this dinosaur thing. That's why one of the reasons I want to do this video, because this is a question I get all the time. I am friends with archaeologists. I actually interviewed a guy by the name of Aaron Judkins, which is a friend of mine. I've known him for a while and visited out where he lives, and we've gone and seen tracks on the Paluxy River. And so I have respect for him, and I have respect for other archaeologists, there we go, archaeologists that claim to have unearthed these things. And so there's a couple other videos, so I want to play both sides of it so you guys can see what you think.
I don't think dinosaurs existed. I think the Matrix made them up completely. So the Matrix is telling us that these creatures lived from 240 to 66 million years ago. All right? And they got wiped out because an asteroid hit the Earth and created an ice age. And you guys understand that this is fake information, right? This is evolutionary propaganda. And also, they created these creatures in order to hide the fact that giants existed, because they found giant, bones in these burial mounds. And the Smithsonian was like, you know what, we need to explain away why these giant humanoid bones are here. So let's just say these reptile creatures lived millions of years ago. And that'll solve it, because they believe everything we say. They'll take that, okay? LIES. Okay, you guys know what that spells, right? Cap. Look at this. The T-Rex, Tyrannosaurus Rex, completely disproportionate. How is he holding his upper body? Hold on, let me show you.
Part of what he's saying I do believe is true. Like, I really think that they are actually trying to hide giant humans from us. I've seen the footprint. I don't know if you guys have seen it. It's a really famous one, but it's the guy's shoe size. I don't know. It would have made Shaquille O'Neal's foot look small, but you can find these human tracks right next to dinosaur tracks, or whatever you want to call them, giant birds, whatever. I don't know. But I've seen tracks myself that have been embedded in stone and fossils and stuff like that, to know that there is something. I don't buy the story. I don't think that they were millions of years old. I don't really buy that. I think that it was a lot sooner than we know, and I think there's been a major cover-up in history, and that's just me thinking that based off some research that I've done over the years. But it's super interesting, and like I said, there's elements of what he's saying that make sense, but I have to wonder.
They're not real. They weren't real. How do they know? How do they know? I don't understand it. Can someone with a science degree explain it to me?
Okay, there's a lot to unpack here, but I'm going to engage with it in good faith, and hopefully you're willing to listen to what I have to say. Now, full disclosure, I'm not a paleontologist, but I am a paleo artist, which means that I'm an artist who works with paleontologists to create illustrations of prehistoric life that are as accurate as possible based on the information we currently have available. If you need proof, here's my artwork on the cover of a peer-reviewed scientific journal, so I like to think that I'm qualified to talk about this.
How do they know what they sound like, look like? How do they know that they were that color? How do they know that they didn't have feathers? How do they know that their skin was that texture? It doesn't make any sense.
Well, we know what they looked like because we have their bones. And we do actually have a few complete specimens, but that said, it is true that most dinosaurs that we find are incomplete. But that doesn't mean that we're completely guessing at what the rest of them looked like. If we have enough incomplete specimens of the same species, we can kind of put all those together to get a composite image of what it looked like. Think of it like having multiple copies of the same jigsaw puzzle and all of them are missing pieces. Now, on their own, they're going to be incomplete, but if you put all of them together, you'll be able to complete the jigsaw puzzle. Same thing with fossils. That said, most dinosaurs are known from only 1 or 2 fragmentary specimens, so in that case what we do is we look at the bones of their closest relatives and we use those to fill in the gaps. It might not be 100% perfect, but it gives us a pretty accurate picture of what they looked like, and obviously if we find more complete fossils, we'll use those instead. So it's not made up or just guesswork. It is very much using all of the evidence available to give us as accurate a picture as possible. As for how we know that they had feathers or what their skin texture was like, well, it's because we've been lucky enough to actually find some amazingly preserved dinosaurs with feathers and skin impressions preserved. And to answer your question on color, some of these are so well preserved that we can actually look at the feathers and scales under the microscope and see the preserved pigment cells in them to figure out what color those dinosaurs were. That said, we'll never know the color of most dinosaurs, but paleo artists can look to nature to come up with plausible guesses. For example, if I'm doing a large predator like T-Rex here, I'm probably going to make it colored, dark browns or grays with some stripes or spots, something to help it blend in with its environment and ambush its prey, just like a modern predator. Whereas a large feathered dinosaur like this one back here, I'm probably going to make more brightly colored because lots of birds use their feathers for display. We don't know 100% if our choices for color are correct, but they're at least plausible based on what we know about modern animals and about the fossil that we're looking at. As for sound, we'll probably never know what most dinosaurs sounded like, but what we can do is look at their modern relatives, birds and crocodilians, and we can look at the structures that they use to make noise. And we can look at dinosaur fossils that preserve those structures and compare them to figure out, if not the exact noise they would have made, at least the range of sounds they would have been capable of making. It's not exact, but it gets us closer. We'll address the rest in part 2.
So maybe we'll watch part 2 some other time, but that's pretty interesting to me that he does that. I used to know a guy, he's actually passed here, his name was Joe, and he's the guy that you see in the pictures with the big long beard, and he had the replica of the giant bones and the giant leg, and he was almost always, when they had a mammoth discovery, like a woolly mammoth, he was the guy that they would call to help with creating casts and do all those different things. He was an artist, much like this guy. And what I would say from that is that it does seem that there are full skeleton bodies of some of these dinosaurs, but if you want to call them dinosaurs, but that doesn't mean that there were thousands of species that lived millions of years ago. Like they were saying before, there was a few that were found a long time ago, and now when they find fragments of these bones, a lot of them might get lumped into being dinosaur bones, but they're actually human femurs or human ribs or whatever. I mean, that's definitely possible. So I can see both sides of this and how the cover up would be easy to cover it up, to believe that there's thousands of different kinds of dinosaurs when there probably maybe was only a couple. Maybe there was only a couple. Maybe it was the dragon that we hear about in the Bible and in almost every other ancient culture in the world. Hit the subscribe button and pound the like.